Marguerite Annie Johnson was born in St. Louis in 1928. At the age of 3, she and her brother, who was 4 at the time, were sent down to Alabama to live with her mother. Parents had divorced, neither one of the parents wanted anything to do with the kids, so Dad put them on a train by themselves to head down south. And they lived there with Grandma for about 4 years until Dad showed up out of the blue, took them back up to St. Louis, where they lived with their mother. And Mom had a boyfriend named Freeman. And Freeman, we'll just say Freeman had issues. And Freeman abused Marguerite, and he ended up raping her at the age of 8. And obviously this had a profound effect on her psyche and everything about her. She was terribly distraught and disturbed. Justice did not come fairly in the beginning because this man served 1 day in jail for raping Marguerite. 1 day. The next day, he was let out. And she told her brother about what had happened. And the brother went and told other people. It was Freeman. It was Mom's boyfriend. He's the one who did this to Marguerite. Mysteriously, 3 days later, Freeman ends up dead. They suspected that it was her uncles who had taken justice into their own hands and made sure that things got taken care of. And so she felt so terrible that not only had this bad thing been done to her, but because of her words, because she had said what happened to her and who did it, this man ended up dead. As much as she hated what he did to her, she did not wish him dead. She didn't go to that extent. But nonetheless, she felt because of her words, he was not dead. And so she became silent. From that age, for the next 5 years, she would not say a word. Teachers, especially one who became a mentor to her, said, if you're going to sit there in silence, you should at least read from the great authors, the great writers, and be able to have conversations in your heart with them if you're not going to do this with us. And so she read Dickinson and Tolstoy and Dickens and Shakespeare. And she was informed by these writers, and she started to write a little bit on her own until finally, 5 years later, when she began to speak. She ended up moving to San Francisco. She was married a number of times, went to Ghana, where she actually taught college there for a short while. She became a prostitute. She became a pimp. She became a cabaret dancer. But all the while, as an African-American woman, she was told that her words did not matter. Woman, you can say what you want to, you can write what you want to, but your words do not matter. Nobody wants to know what you have to say. But yet, there were those few. Those few who said, no, you have something profound to say. The world needs to hear your words. And so she persisted. And she kept writing while she was doing all of these other things. And while she was working at the cabaret club, they said, Marguerite Johnson just doesn't have a ring to it. Is there another name that anybody's ever called you in your life? And she says, yeah, my brother used to call me sister. He'd say, Maya, sister. Maya Angelou. Why don't we go with that? And so from then on, the world knew her as Maya Angelou. And we all know that she had plenty to say. We all know that she didn't just lay down and let life kick her around. No, she decided to rise up. This is the lot of Mary Magdalene, as she's standing there outside of that tomb, realizing that the rock has been rolled away. We like to hear the Easter story that they come to the tomb and the rock is gone, and yes, Jesus is alive and everything is okay, but that's not how they experienced it. They didn't know what the heck was going on. Mary went there first. And she was freaking out because he was gone. She didn't think he'd risen. She didn't think he'd come back to life. She thought somebody had stolen his body and taken it away, and there were plenty of reasons to do that. Plenty of reasons. She was scared. But she ran to the disciples and told them, hey, his body is gone. And they came running, and they saw too that his body was missing. See, the church has given Mary Magdalene a bad name because she's a woman. We've seen how the Church through the ages has treated women. We think of Mary Magdalene as that prostitute who became reformed and became the partner in some way that we don't know of Jesus. We've all heard that story, that Mary was a prostitute, but she became repentant. Well, it ain't in here. The church invented that. There's nowhere in the gospel text that says Mary was a prostitute. That was something that the church invented. In fact, when there was discussion back in the 2nd and 3rd century about the disciples and discovering Jesus' resurrection and all of these things, somebody mentioned, well, it was a woman who actually discovered it. And the church fathers didn't like that. They said, oh, yeah, we better do something about this. So they wrote into the church's liturgy that Mary was a messenger who brought the message to make the real witnesses, it says it right there, the real witnesses were the men, to make them aware that Jesus was not in the tomb, because they did not want to recognize her as the one who discovered Jesus' resurrection. Wow, is that ever problematic? Because the disciples were hunkered down, scared out of their wits, hiding, when Mary went to them and said, get out here, you need to see this. And so they came. And then they come running, and this disciple whom Jesus loved gets there first. He runs faster than Peter, and he sounds so good in here, doesn't he? He's a fast runner, and he sees that Jesus isn't there, and he believed, and all of these things. Well, the disciple whom Jesus loved is none other than John, the one who wrote the document. Of course he's going to make himself look good. What do you mean he believed? Why is it then at Pentecost they're still in that room scared to death? You can always paint a pretty picture of yourself, but not the real unsung heroes. And that's how it was for Mary. And so when the disciples left and went back to hide back in their little crawl space or wherever they were, there Mary was, still weeping when she saw those two angels. When they asked her, woman, I don't know why when I read this I hear John Wayne's voice. Woman, why are you weeping? Sorry. Just a sickness in my head. So anyway, these angels come and say, why are you weeping? What's the matter with you? They've taken his body away. He's gone, right? Didn't say, oh, I'm so happy he's risen. No, I'm scared to death. I'm sad. He's gone. It's bad enough that I had to stand there and watch him get nailed to a cross, and watch him get pierced in his side, and watch him cry out, asking God why God forsake him. But here I am now. I've come in the wee early hours of the morning while it was still dark to sit alone with him in the garden. Just like paying our respects to a loved one's grave today. He's gone. And then she hears somebody else say, woman, why are you here? Who are you looking for? Why are you weeping? And she thinks he's the gardener. She doesn't recognize him. If you've taken him away, tell me where you put him, and I'll take responsibility for his body. I'll take him out of here. If it's too much trouble to have him here and you had to move him out, you guys need this space or something, I'll take care of him. Just tell me where he is, and I'll go claim his body, and I'll move him out of here. And Jesus says, Mary, it's me. Oh, can you imagine the way she wanted to hold him? The way she wanted to embrace him? How happy she must have been at that point to realize that he was beyond any explanation standing there right in front of her. Whatever that meant. Whether he was just there in spirit, whether he was physically there, whether it was something that was just going on within her, that only she could see or experience, perhaps the birth of hope. But whatever it was, he said, do not hold on to me. Do not hold on to me. And in that moment, that is when the resurrection happened. Not when the body disappeared from the tomb. Not when Mary saw that the body wasn't there. Not when the disciples came running. The resurrection happened with with the recognition that Jesus was there with her, whatever that meant. He said, Mary, I need you to let go of me, and I need you to live your life. I need you to go back to the disciples and tell them that they too have permission to live. And because she did it, Jesus' resurrection happened for all of us. And in that moment, Mary too was resurrected. See, if Mary would have ignored what happened, if Mary would have not said anything, if Mary wouldn't have shared that message of hope, we wouldn't be sitting here today. There would be no Easter. It was because of the recognition of Mary, that resurrection, that hope, that new life, that new beginnings, no matter what has happened to us, no matter what anybody has done, that these things are possible. That is when resurrection began to become a theme for all of us. And it means nothing. It means nothing if it was a one-time event, that Jesus got up and rolled away a tomb and walked out. If that was it, who cares? It happened so that all of us can experience that same resurrection every day if we need to. When we sing the next hymn, I come to the garden, in the garden, I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses. In that third verse, it says, I would stay in the garden with him, but he sent me away. He bid me to go. Go and live your life. Do not hold on to me. Do not make of me an image that you're going to live through, but live your own life. Keep hope alive for yourself. Because the first part of this passage is the most important. Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark. While it was still dark. See, hope doesn't come when we can see a glimpse of the sun coming through the black clouds. Hope happens there in the dark. There, in the darkest hour of the morning, at the worst times of our life, despite what's happening, we still hope. And because we're made aware, because we have recognition that hope is possible, then we become aware that there's a little sliver of sunshine coming through that dark cloud. But it all starts with the awareness. Maya Angelou, Mary Magdalene, some of us here to greater degrees than others have experienced terrible things. Had bad things happen to them, sometimes through no fault of their own. But regardless, we stand with people like Maya Angelou. So regardless, when somebody points their finger and says, I don't like you because of the color of your skin, or because of your sexual orientation, or because of the color of your hair, or because of what you believe, and we feel like we want to flip them the bird, we don't. We stand there proud. We stand there tall. We stand there with hope. And we say, just like Maya Angelou did, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust.